Craig, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We have some people are going to make a presentation. I would suggest we wait a few minutes till Clifton gets here. The TRAC I have down here, TRAC representative. And since Clifton is on his way, I think we should hold up a couple minutes for Clifton to be here to hear the comments and go from there. Other than the TRAC, are there any public comments that Clifton would not have to hear that you wish to give? Craig?
Yes, in the past, several years ago, we had potluck dinners around Veterans Day. So I wanted to see if the selectmen would give permission for me to spearhead a potluck dinner on Saturday, November 10th. Assuming that the townhouse is available. I'll have to check with Jessica, and I guess the schedule is on the website?
Yep, it's open.
Okay, good.
Yeah, December 1st we have
Yeah,
something.
so we do probably either 5 or 5:30. I'll take care of the advertising, putting the signboard out. It's after the election. Thought it might be a nice time for people to get together before hibernation begins. I don't know, I mentioned it to Marilou to do, it'd be by donation, to cover drinks and bread and the condiments and the stuff that we usually provide, paper products. And that if there's any income from that, that it be used for the Heritage Commission. I don't know if Marilou has had an opportunity to present this to the Heritage Commission. If they decline, then I'll take care of it myself, or Marilou and I'll do it independently.
We're wealthy.
We're wealthy. Which, the Heritage Commission? Right, yes. I thought you meant the town of Brookfield. Oh, okay. So I guess that's everything that would be entailed.
Okay. No problem. I think it's great.
I think we should do it.
Commend you for
Great.
putting it on. It's a
Good.
wonderful
Okay.
idea.
I'll keep you advised.
One other question. The December 1st, is that the craft fair?
Yes,
Okay, I had somebody ask, and the last time we didn't know when it was scheduled.
I already have it on the calendar, so.
Very good. I never thought to look on the website,
Yeah.
so that would have been the thing to it. Any other public comments? Mr.
I
Brown?
would just jump in on Craig's presentation and say that TRAC will have a sweatshirt for raffling off as a fundraiser for TRAC. And if you don't get any help, I'd be more than glad to be there and help you put on the side.
Great, thanks.
Okay. Any other public comments other than the TRAC issue?
I'd like to just say that I believe on the 17th of November, we'll be having a first Eagle Boy Scout in town, of a town. And I think it would be kind of nice if he got a little bit of recognition, maybe a letter or something from the town,
Is that
saying
Jesse?
we're proud of him. Huh?
Jesse?
This is Jordan Danzero,
Oh, Jordan, right,
the
yes.
oldest.
Okay.
Jordan's the oldest boy.
Right.
He's the boy that's been doing that project down next to the Catholic Church.
You did a
That
nice
was
job.
his Eagle project, and he said 17th of November, he's gonna have his coat of arms, so.
Okay.
I think that's kinda nice.
Just as a backup, camp, November 17th is an Eagle Scout, Gordon Danzero, and it was suggested that a
George.
letter, I'm sorry?
Jordan.
Jordan, I thought they said, I'm sorry, Jordan, and maybe a letter can come from the board recognizing for his work. Okay. And the second thing was a potluck dinner that Greg's going to put on November 10th. Donations will be collected and money will go to the Heritage Commission. Other than that, we've been waiting for you to take over, and it's the TRAC presentation.
What are we eating?
It's gonna be public.
Good stuff.
Hopefully DJ and Rick will be available to do some wonders.
That would be nice. That'd be good. Looking forward to that. Okay. All right. TRAC representative, Mr. Brown.
Could I get Bill? slide down a little bit, please?
You gonna present up here and we'll step out in the
I
front?
have no idea what I'm gonna do, but you're welcome to step out in front. I just got back last night, so prep time was a little short here. I've got a handout here. And if you'll pass someone back. Sure. There's information on both the front and the back. I have some pamphlets for the Cotton Valley Trail, which is the Wolfboro end of this project. Trails Rails Action Committee. Some of you will remember this, and maybe some of you participated in it previously when they were working to develop the Wolfboro end. And they in fact started in Wolfboro, and they've gone out now about 6 miles. And they raised monies to install stone, whatever, between the railroad tracks or beside it as appropriate. And they brought it out about 6 miles, and it is very heavily used in Wolfboro. And they've also raised some monies to maintain it, so they're in a very healthy financial condition. And so Harriet Wilson, myself, Donna San Antonio, among others, were interested in developing and working towards meeting Wolfboro, starting at the Turntable Park in Sanbornville, running it out to Route 16, and then from Miss Wakefield Diner across the road, doing at least through Clark Road, and that would give you about 1.5 miles of good hiking trail, either beside the railroad track or in between the rails as appropriate. So the Bureau of Trails is very supportive of this. DOT still owns the track, but the Bureau of Trails controls the trail. And we're working with them. They have a grant application which is due in January. And I have a committee of Edie Damaris, Donna San Antonio, and Brad Williamson working on putting together that grant application. And it involves our raising about $6,000, and the state would then come up with about $21,000 for a total of $27,000. So that should really be enough to do this portion, as best I know today, of the trail out through Clark Road. And of course, any extra monies we have, we'll keep going. Now, the $6,000 that we're required to raise, Wolfboro Track has offered to provide matching funds up to $6,000. But our committee doesn't have $6,000 yet. So what our goal is to talk to Wolfboro about if they would donate $3,000 to us, we will raise the additional $3,000 for the total of $6,000, which is what the state requires to go with the grant. And some of that, in fact, can be in volunteer man hours, but right now I think we need the money more than the man hours. That's what we're attempting to do. There might have been some discussion previously about the Brookfield Parks and Rec and the monies being combined versus separated out and what they can be used for. We're going to keep that off the table for now and not even get into it. We would like to keep our project separate from that so that we don't confuse the issue. Clifton?
Do you have a deadline that you need to have this money raised by?
That would probably be in March. We have already had one person in town that's offered $500. There are other people that have offered to make donations. As we get this firmed up more, I would anticipate in the late winter, the TRAC committee in Wakefield, Brookfield as we're calling it, would send out a letter to people in the town asking, or going through newspapers, et cetera, to see if there are people out there that would like to make voluntary contributions to Wedco. That's where the check has to go for deposit, but made out to, or for deposit to credit to Wakefield, Brookfield, TRAC.
And is that a
401c3.
thank you.
It is? TRAC is?
I'm talking about Wakefield, I'm not talking about TRAC.
Wedco, yes.
I believe, in fact, Wolfboro TRAC is, and basically, we're a subcommittee of Wolfboro TRAC, so whatever they've done, we're a part of that.
It's a
So
501c3.
you're not a town committee.
No,
I got several questions. If you're not a town committee, then you're not asking the town for any money.
correct.
Okay. What is the distance from Vernal Station to Cotton Valley Station? That portion which was the last that was developed by Wolfboro.
Yeah, right over in here.
3.1 to 6.1.
3 minutes.
To answer your question, though, what we're trying to do is raise monies to do these first two phases. As we have extra money and working with Wolfboro, the goal ultimately is to go all the way through. But as you know, that middle part is kind of swampy, and it's going to be more difficult and more expensive. And obviously, the Wakefield-Brookfield track is not going to come up with all of the monies, but we would be working with Wolfboro to make this happen. We think it would be a tremendous asset for the community. Right now, Wakefield has a hikers club, or a walkers club, and they walk on 109. That isn't the safest place in the world to really be walking. And not only is it not a safe place to be walking, but it's very uneven, and there's a good chance you can sprain your ankle. So we thought this would be a much safer place for people to go with their dogs, their kids, whatever, and use it. Also, there's a big plus for the snowmobile club. Right now, for the snowmobile club, to operate down the railroad tracks, they have to have about a foot of snow to get it compacted, so they don't have to worry about the rail. If we fill between the rail, then all they need is about half that much snow before they can start using it. So that's kind of a win for them. I've talked to the Putt-Putt Club. They have no problem with this because they can still use the rail. We're merely trying to find a place where it's safe, level, and we're talking about using a 3/8-inch stone that Ospey Aggregate has used in Wolfboro, and it worked quite well. It's a stone and stone dust combination. It's a little over $10 a ton, exclusive of delivery. And I would anticipate for the first phase, that's the turntable to Route 16, we would have to go with local contractors who might have a smaller truck where they have a chute where they can drop the materials out, because quite honestly, most of that already can be driven, and you could drop the stone and then you just have to spread it. The Miss Wakefield Dine at Clark Road is much more complicated. The embankments are very steep. It's not the place to take a truck, and you have to have some kind of rail arrangement to load up and take it down the track and unload it as you go down the track.
Will there be parking at Clark Road?
Both Harriet Wilson and myself, that's our property, have said that parking should not be a problem. We volunteered all the space that people might need to park.
So there'll be a...
Likewise, the Miss Wakefield Diner, Scott Bramer has offered to use his parking lot anytime we wanted for this end operation.
How about crossing Route 16?
That is something we're not encouraging.
So the total distance won't be utilized.
You could do turntable park to 16, turn around and go on back. That's going to give you a little short of a mile, I think. Or you can park at the Miss Wakefield Diner and go down to Clark Road and back, and that's about 5,800 feet one way. So you could get a couple miles. Again, this is the start to try to get it to where people
Right.
can get more if they want it.
The cost, I think, is the little low. You're talking 20,000 for a mile and a half?
No, I think the total would be about 27,000.
Uh-huh.
The
Just for
people
that
from the
mile
Bureau,
and
the people from the Bureau of Trails thought we might be able to do it for 17, 18,000. Again, that's very preliminary. I don't have hard numbers on that, but they were very encouraged that the price of these materials have come down.
Well, while I was on the committee for the Wolfboro portion of it, they had a problem from Vernal Crossing to Cotton Valley Station. And they had to replace the material.
Correct.
And that's a distance of, what did we say, 3 miles?
3 miles.
Yeah. And to replace and replenish,
Right.
the figure was about 104,000.
Yeah. Mainly because they used the wrong material
Right.
and it washed out.
Absolutely.
So we benefit from their learning curve on that.
Yeah, but how about the
And
price here?
two, you talk about the washout, we can put a fabric material down.
No, I'm not talking about the washout, I'm talking about the price.
And I told you, I think we can do it for a lot less than that, based on the Bureau of Trails, who says they think we can do it for a lot less than this grant. But we have to try to find out. And I would like to work to make this an asset for the communities.
Well, I think you're gonna be looking at closer to 50,000 for that distance.
For the 1 mile? Because they're not talking about doing the 3 miles,
I know.
for just the 1 mile. Wow.
Well, I just throw the figure out, I mean, you can, I would double check your figures. I wouldn't want you to be disappointed.
Well, I was gonna say, can I count on you for a bigger contribution to make up the?
My contribution
I
went to
appreciate
the
your-
Parks and Playground, thank you,
Yeah,
which was a town committee,
and it's town monies.
not all of it. Not my contribution,
No, there are two separate accounts.
right.
One is
I'm
voluntary
very familiar
contributions,
with
the
that,
other
thank
comes
you.
from the selectmen, I'm well aware of that.
Mhm.
Any other questions? I don't really want to tie you up, but I think this is an opportunity to improve or provide opportunities for a little more quality of life, and certainly a safer area for hiking.
Ernie, I just wanted you to repeat, where is the grant coming from?
Bureau of Trails.
Thank you.
As the little car, the put folks that were considered doing a fundraiser to get people to ride on it, we won't do that.
We have not directly contacted, just like we haven't contacted any of you to raise any funds yet. But I have talked to the Putt-Putt, we have talked to the Snowmobile Trail Club, but we haven't asked for any funds at this time. We think that both of those organizations would probably either contribute time and materials or monies to help out where they could.
We thought of a toll booth with a little easy pass.
Well, let me brief you on a wrinkle that's isn't on the table. Bureau of Trails controls the trail. DOT owns the rail. They're talking about selling all of the rail between Turntable Park and Route 16. But again, we have no dates, we have nothing in writing other than, yeah, they're thinking about it,
Selling it to who?
for money.
Oh, just putting it up for
Rip it out of the ground, get up the old tile, just level it out. They're talking about doing that. We want to just press on with our project, which would be right beside the rail. Should they do that, we can easily merge that, and it should work out quite well. We've,
I wouldn't they go the other direction to make money. Go towards your house as well. If we're gonna sell the rail and make some money, just steal it.
no, they weren't talking about that rail at all.
Why wouldn't they though?
And again, it's up to DOT. So again, when you start working with bureaucracies, it goes very slow, and I can't plan on their keeping their word. You know, if I planned this whole project around their making a decision, we'd never get anywhere. We have had letters of support from Conservation Commission, Heritage Commission. We're going to hope to get some from the Selectmen to at least approve the concept without any town money, so it only costs you the price of paper for the letter. We're going to the Wakefield Conservation Commission, we're going to the Wakefield Selectmen. Ed Morrison has agreed to be our spokesman, and so I'm going to let him do the talking to the Wakefield Selectmen because he has a very good credibility with them. Harriet Wilson's been very busy. She made up this very nice board and has come and talked to you about it. And I apologize, I was out of town and not able to help out previously. Any other questions? I thank you.
Thanks, Ernie.
Thank you.
You can have the bills. We're used to it.
That's true.
All right. Public comments. Or did you already do that?
We already did that.
Oh. Out of sequence. Okay, approval of minutes from Selectmen's meeting September 25th, 2012.
I do have a question on the money that was put in as a fundraiser by Marilou that went for the TRAC that got put in that account.
So the Heritage Commission had two fundraisers for TRAC. The first was a breakfast last March. And then we also did a raffle, sweatshirt raffle at Old Home Day, the dinner on Old Home Day. The money that was raised at those events was placed in the Heritage Commission savings account that the town has. And then I transferred the money from that account into the town's general checking account and wrote a check that the selectmen signed and sent it off to Wedco.
I guess in hindsight, wondering if it should have just gone from your fundraiser to Wedco or whatever.
I don't have I only have a savings account. So unless I was willing to pay the bank for a money order or something, I thought that would be necessary, and that way the selectmen could see that the money was on the way. If you'd like it handled differently.
No, this was a question.
The only concern that I would have with that is whether or not, because we have a town, and again, I'm not stating that I'm for or against anything at this point, but whether or not that a town committee or commission doing a fundraiser for a non-town entity and then running the funds through the town's accounts, whether or not that's going to raise legal issues
Okay.
for accounting purposes with the DRA. So, because as we all know, that any monies that come into the town, there's an accountability issue.
Right.
So,
But there is a clear path. One of the things an auditor always looks for is a clear
I'm
path.
not
Right.
questioning the clear path.
Right.
I'm not sure how that is handled with the DRA as far as contributions and fundraising goes by town entities for non-town functions.
Yep.
So that's my only consideration. Now, if I or Craig, as he's doing a fundraiser on November 10th, and that fundraiser is going to go to the Heritage Commission, and he's doing that as a private citizen, that's one thing. But again, as the Heritage Commission doing a fundraiser for a non-town issue
Right.
or a supported issue, I don't know how that plays out. And that would be just something I would look into in the future to make sure that we don't cross any lines that we shouldn't cross.
I'll call LGC Legal Department and ask them.
But perfect. I'd love to hear the answer. Because there are many times that we had talked about doing a fundraiser for the the Wakefield Library at one point, but Round Top never got back to us with any information on it, so that kind of fell through. What is the legal ramifications of that? And how do we go about doing it? Because normally when we do a fundraiser as a commission or committee, it's usually for something within the town. Or the Heritage Commission raises for the Heritage Commission, or the Park and Rec Committee, or Conservation Commission. However, it's always usually done for within the town in a town-sponsored committee or commission. So I would be interested in that answer.
I will call and let you know.
Okay. Then you get your answer question now?
Yeah,
We
because
beat
it
up
wasn't,
that again?
I'm sure everything was going to be
Okay.
up and up, it just was for bookkeeping purposes.
Yep.
Any other concerns or questions about the selectmen's minutes from the
Um,
25th of September?
It's not really, we can cover it later on, because it was, as stated here, it was, I'll come back to it. My only concern is the avatar issue and the attorney.
Okay,
And we need to cover that maybe under old business.
yes, we'll do that. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion
Go ahead.
that we accept the meeting minutes as presented.
Second that motion.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. All right, treasurer's report.
There was not a stampede vote of the bills, as we would have thought. Okay. So we could do checks first.
So now that we're presenting the bills in order to be looked at, I don't have to read everything out anymore?
Yeah,
Right.
Okay.
I thought you were doing that in addition.
Oh, I can do that into addition, that's not a problem.
So these don't have to be, they're payroll checks.
I
So,
was just gonna read the bills out, not what, we've already done anything that's in a check, we've already read out.
right. And there's a few new bills and the bank statements to be opened. So the bills that, let's see, let's put new on top. We got a new bill from the town attorney, so I will put those together.
You have a question on that one?
Is that new, the way they split it out one? I think, is that the bill that deals with the
Fair point?
Fairpoint stuff?
Yes.
All right, you might want to hang that out so we can cover that under old business. There's the paperclip for that one.
So we currently have, where's my notes? Oh,
Is it?
we currently have $300,000 between the checking account and the savings account, although those are my notes. You don't have to
We're
approve those.
initialing off our notes now?
Really? Good.
So we're going to approve the notes.
So between the two, we have $300,000, $491.23 between savings and checking as of today. I do have a letter from Virginia saying that Lisa has been trained. So at this point, she, under the stipulations that you hired her under, she would go from
Training
10.
wage, yep.
her training rate into her regular working rate.
Okay.
So I will put that into effect on her next check, since this one still involved her training.
Sense?
Right? And I will be working on and getting out the payroll tax returns
Okay.
in the next week or so. They're due by the end of October. Also, just to let you know, I have started what I call an audit notebook. I do one every year, and what it involves are, currently what's in here, let me put it that way, are a record of all the checks that the town has written, as well as all the deposits that have been received through the end of August. I will also add all the general ledger information and all of that to it, but I need some paper before.
What do you do as welfare? How are you gonna handle that?
So welfare is no problem, because all it shows is a check was written against that account. It does not show who the person is or anything about the person.
Right, the
It
amount
only
is public
shows-
information, but not the
And the
name.
vendor,
Right, not the
So-
recipient.
that should be okay.
Okay, that's
Okay,
fine.
so bills and
Bank statements.
bank statements.
I don't have that cute little razor thing tonight.
Anything else? I think there's 3 of them in there, actually.
There are.
Microscope. These, at least in there.
So this is the balance as of September on this account. Okay.
Did you submit a Green Roses train? Oh, it's coming. Just check.
We talked about it last Friday. Now that you don't need it,
I probably will later when I go grab the mail out of the box.
all right.
And that's the end of that one. You know, if it wasn't for all the bills, this would be a wealthy little town.
If it wasn't for all the bills, we'd all be very wealthy.
And then tackle the Mitchell.
You can put those aside if you want, I'll get them at the end.
It's Jim like his Prius. Jim like.
Issued that one back over the bills for him to, that's the other bank statement if you want to sign off on that one.
How is the cost of the project on the road? How's it coming out financially?
I haven't put it all together yet, I've just been kind of.
You assume you're under budget?
Oh, I'm sure of that.
That is for the forms that Virginia gives to me that go back and forth between the two of us on the
The
deposits she
deposits.
makes.
We'll cross those all out. What's happening there?
How much were those forms, Marilou?
90, with shipping it was $90. That's a year's supply.
What are those forms
She's
for?
gonna try and, but it's not even in book form this time. They just sent her the forms,
Loose.
loose.
You kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. And
Well, we discussed it, and I felt last time we wanted some that it was tremendously expensive. We couldn't figure out why unless it was.
it's the NCR paper
Yeah.
that makes it more
But
expensive.
do we need to do it?
So the other thing is, we probably need to look into, do we need 3 copies?
We don't.
If you have a copy and I have a copy,
But we can't order them any other way, they don't come in the other way.
okay? And is there anyone else that does them?
Or can we just make
Photocopies?
Photocopies and use those.
I don't know that. But,
Because yours ends up used anyway.
yes. But then mine, but then we don't have one that's signed by both of us unless you give me both and I return one to you with both our signatures. I would think that's what the state would be after.
I do know I have a meeting on this coming up.
Unless we sign both of them,
Right, you sign both, give them to me, I sign both and return one to you.
yeah. We'll talk about it. I didn't know exactly how much it was. I told her I thought it was astronomically expensive.
So this was
Because
almost,
mine are double that, yeah, well, I don't have more than that because.
you don't have more than that, that's a year,
Yeah.
almost a year's
I have
supply.
I have 2 books.
Now, remember, you have 2 books, but she has 2 deposits a
That's right.
week.
That's right.
So she's going through them faster than you are.
Yeah.
And she makes deposits every, 2 deposits every week.
But she didn't seem to be averse to, using, after these are gone, using.
I don't know, this is all I have, could you guys initial it?
No, why are we down here? It was all crossed.
Those are last months and the months
Last
before and
month
the months before that.
and the month before.
I see,
I
this
don't
is-
get
So
a
when we've
real
got,
bill
when we've got like 12 of them on there, we'll know that we've covered the year.
Okay, makes good sense.
for a while. Usually about January, I get the rest of the year.
So
And then
this
they
next
start.
one's 65,000.
Yes.
On this map and planning solution,
So,
this is part, this is that grant, right?
right,
For the hazard mitigation plan update?
That's right, that's right.
so did Brad write me a note?
I did.
You did.
At the last meeting, the way the process was explained to me was they're gonna submit a bill to the selectmen with the instructions on how to get reimbursed by mailing that to those people.
Okay,
And then when we get the money back, we can pay the bill.
okay.
Hence my note on there.
Oh, okay.
Please.
So we need to
forward.
give that to Brad with a note and instruction. Please make a copy, forward it to the state for payment. And then once we get paid, we'll pay them.
Now, does this, so but they need a bill from the selectmen as I recall.
The instructions are supposed to be in that cover letter.
Do not anticipate your payment. Please forward a town invoice and a copy of mine. Do I know? I'm gonna forward this to Brad because I don't know how much the town invoice would be for.
Whatever it is, time to triple it.
I said that on TV.
Nobody's got a sense of humor tonight. Is this the other bill? No.
That's just it.
It's in there somewhere, so,
Yep.
your envelopes. Okay.
I'm guessing we have the same question
On,
on one of these bills.
yes, I'm surprised there's, yes.
I'm guessing now, I'm just using mine.
Okay, so we're gonna cover this under new business, or old business. Okay. Are y'all done?
Yes, sir.
All right, tax collector.
Nothing really to report. I believe that my deputy has something to say about something I didn't know about until tonight, so.
Selectman Zacher asked me how we're doing against collecting taxes for previous years as well as this year. I can say for the 2012 first half of the year, there's about $54,000 outstanding in taxes. There's about $54,000 outstanding for 2011 against the liens, and about almost $13,000 for 2010 liens. And Selectman Zacher was interested in seeing this periodically, so I thought I would just do a summary little chart that shows for the 3 years that we have outstanding taxes on, what the balances are about every quarter.
Now, do we have any outstanding taxes from previous years prior to that? Or are we current all the way up to
Prior
that
to
point?
2010, we have no outstanding taxes.
Okay.
We will, under normal circumstances, the cycle does run a 3-year, and we shouldn't ever have any priors to that.
The bad news is we're carrying it. The good news is we're carrying it at 11% interest.
No, we're carrying at 18%.
18% interest. So
12% on the 2011, on 2012, 18% on any priors.
There was a change in the interest rate?
No, it's been that way forever.
Once you lean it, it goes to 18%.
Okay.
There.
We need some 3-in-1 oil for that
You
door.
think?
He was just in and did the doors. Brad was it? Guess he missed that one.
That already was a little lenient on the oil.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that all you have?
Unless you have any questions?
Any questions?
Nope.
Bill?
No?
That's it.
All we have? Okay. Town clerk? No. Administrative assistant? Assessor clerk?
Today I went to the Department of Revenue class for the equalization. They have a new program called Mosaic Equalization, so I went to that. It's only an hour in Madison, so that was quick. Everything's almost done in the system where the sales have been, if they're valid or not valid, they've been marked in there, but I haven't sent them to the state because I know that you guys might want to look at that before we send it off. Avatar will look at it next. You want to look at it, so you just let me know, come on in whenever, and I'll go through it with you. The next thing, my conference is coming up in November. And finally got the fees and everything, so for 2 days, it's $80. So I want to see if you'll approve it. But my thing is a lot of it goes to the administrative job and the assessing. Like the assessing would be the Thursday and the administrative seemed to be mostly on the Wednesday. So I wondered if you could split the...
Between the two,
Exactly.
between the two positions?
Yeah, yeah. So it's a good idea.
And it's in Manchester, you said?
It's in Manchester.
So you're gonna commute both days?
Well, see, that's the thing. I've already spoken with Linda Ridings in Wolfboro. She's been a friend of mine for a long time. And we talked about splitting a room. So if it's approved, I mean, it would actually be cheaper than commuting with the gas. Because I wouldn't be going back and forth, back and forth.
So you can only go there and then
Yeah.
back.
Exactly.
Saves you a whole cycle.
Yeah, it's only $60 to stay, because we're gonna split the room, so it actually is kind of reasonable, so.
So what you're saying is it would benefit the town if we okayed
I think so,
for
but-
the room for the night instead of paying you
Right.
mileage for one whole trip.
Yeah,
And you're probably right
yeah, it ended up being 120 in gas, I think,
in mileage.
in mileage,
Yeah.
you know?
But that's for 4 trips,
60,
correct?
it's- Yeah, no,
So
no,
that-
no, no, no,
that's
that's
one-
one day,
That's one day.
Wow.
because it was like 66 miles or something. I have it all, I just forgot to bring it, it's on my desk. But you don't even have to approve that tonight, I just would like to go to my conference, that's all.
Maybe she could be camping.
It's still gonna cost you about $60.
In November.
The town ought to buy a trailer and let people.
I second
that.
that. I second that. I have a trailer.
Do you?
I have a 15-foot trailer down in the woods that you can use.
In the woods.
In the woods.
You just have to get it out?
Yeah, I'm getting it out.
McCollum's just got home from their trip, maybe they're gonna, maybe they want to donate their teardrop trailer.
On Elm Street.
So anyway, I'm just asking to approve just the conference for now, and then,
Yeah.
I think we should approve both, the lodging and the conference. Now make your reservations.
Everything.
All right, got it.
got it.
Put your initials on it, and make it official.
Lastly, I received our first BTLA case. Yeah, first one, so, from Kingswood Lake, map 26, lot 6. And it's just addressed to you, Clifton, so I just need a signature, and then I'm gonna send everything to Avatar.
Would you mention or explain to people what you received, and what that is?
Someone had asked for an abatement back in March, and Avatar recommended denying it due to insufficient sales. They only had 1 or 2 that they could compare it to. So they have until September 1st to appeal that decision, which is what they did, and we're now getting our paperwork. So we
Right.
have to recognize that we got it, send it back to the court, and wait. It could be up to 3 years it could take before we actually go to court on it, so.
Got a
Avatar
question?
goes to court on it.
Yep, I said, I was waiting for her to finish. Yes, sir.
Is it public information as to who the owner is?
Not if he's not present, I suppose.
Map 26, lot 6,
26, lot
absolutely.
6.
I mean, it's public
Yeah, you
information.
can go.
So this would
Map
be,
26, lot 6?
Yeah.
yep,
Yes.
490 Wentworth Road,
Yeah.
and it is Peter and Roberta Holland. Nope, that's not right, is it?
Yes, that's
Yes, it is,
correct.
that's correct.
Mhm.
How come it says 490 Wentworth Road? And this one says 373 Wentworth Road. Now I'm confused.
Great.
I think these are the comps.
Oh,
No. CVS,
is that what the BTLA put? Is the application correct?
yeah, maybe that is the comp,
373.
that's a comp,
Okay.
maybe.
But it's
Uh,
going to be in
owned by- who's the-
Fogg, it's still very able.
CVS lists properties filed in application. No, because it's the same map and lot number. So I'm just confused of why the 2 different addresses. See, because it says map 26, lot 6, 373 Wentworth Road, and here it says map 26, lot 6, 490 Wentworth Road. Is that something we wrote in, or is that something they wrote in?
Let me see.
Obviously, before it goes to court, we need to clarify all that.
I think it's going to the.
Because here's your
That's me.
copy.
That's you?
Yeah,
So it's actually 373?
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
what it is.
So we need to
I
fix
must have
that.
been looking at something else.
We need to fix that.
This one's not going to Superior Court, it's going to that.
This
land-
goes to, the
land-
Board of Tax and Land
Yeah.
Appeals.
Yeah,
So I certify a copy of this checklist was mailed this date to the taxpayer's representative. Is this where I sign?
yeah.
And date it. Okay.
And you'll update the address on the front.
Oh, I will, don't I?
Yes, sir.
Does Avatar represent us at no cost on this?
Yes.
Or is this one of the things where it's an add-on?
This is a no cost.
No cost?
This is this is part of their assessing.
Okay.
And we're gonna get into the, what they do and what they don't here in a
Oh,
little
okay.
later on in the meeting.
And that's all I have.
Okay. Agricultural Commission? Cable Commission? Cemetery Trustees? Mr. Nason?
Yeah.
Code Enforcement Road Agent, you're up, bud.
We have big happenings in Brookfield. We have 2 building permits that have been pulled. One on map 17, lot 26, garage and breezeway addition. And the other is map 26, lot 3, in a major renovation to the house. Other than that,
Exciting days.
yeah, I've been busy with a lot of small questions and things like that. If you remember a while back, I presented my concern to you about people starting stuff before permits. And I talked with the town attorney about that. We can't fine anybody, because there's a set way to go about that through the state. But she thought it was perfectly fine for us to have a tiered fee schedule. Meaning, we could simply say, if you pull a permit before your work starts, this is the cost. If you pull a permit after the work starts, this is what it'll cost. And I recommend that we adopt that way of doing things. And I would suggest that the fees double after the work has started.
Okay, why don't you put that together and present it to the board at the next meeting?
Okay?
Then we can vote on it.
Other than that, that's it for the code officer stuff.
Cool.
Um,
Road agent.
That's going well. They were supposed to grade and pave last weekend, but rain has set them back. They're gonna be there this Friday, and if it goes well on Friday, depending on the weather, then they'll pave on Monday morning.
So what are they doing Friday? They're gonna grade it?
What they call fine grade,
Okay.
yeah.
So it's been holding up all right under
It's
the
holding
travel?
excellent. Yep,
It's all packed now?
yep. It's a little bit of increased cost, which I think is still fine as far as budgetary things. We found an extra culvert. Got that ditched and working great, and the culverts are much longer than we normally allow for to get them off the road. They're going through corners of people's yards and driveways, so you can't just kind of abruptly end them right there. You kind of got to continue them on another 10, 12, 15 feet or something like that. But it's all well and good. Everybody's been pretty positive up there. And we're just waiting for the pavement to go down.
Sounds good.
And our salt, first load of salt arrived yesterday. And for those concerned about the amount of sand in the shed, that'll be fixed shortly.
It is getting close.
What is?
Exactly.
That's it.
The word that can't be mentioned yet.
Oh, please, man.
I know, you've got them all up there doing snow dances.
Pretty soon.
There was snow on the mountains yesterday.
Good?
Yes,
Bring it
sir.
on.
On the code enforcement, doesn't the code enforcement person have the right to issue a cease and desist with a fine assigned for every day? And going out of my memory, but yes, I can serve a cease and desist. The first step is requesting that they cease and desist the work. And it's usually presented with like a 30-day time frame to comply. Mhm.
And then in the letter, you state the set guidelines by the state for the fine,
Fine,
and
yeah.
that's all set by the state.
So having the tiered fees, actually,
It's not a fine, it's a fee structure. It gets away from that, having to wait the 30
Semantics.
days and, following all that. Because in a sense, if you go that route, one, to wait the time, but the other thing is, then the fines are pretty stiff.
Right. I guess what I was wondering was if you had somebody who is really uncooperative and doesn't even go for the second tier and continues to persist.
Then we have that would be level 3, I guess you could call it. Then we serve the cease and desist and
Okay.
quote the RSA for the fine structure.
Thanks.
okay. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Moving on, Conservation Commission.
Nothing to report.
Cool. Emergency Management Director?
Filling in for Brad. There will be a workshop, I believe it's October 30th. Remember, the woman could not get here the last time because of traffic, and it's been rescheduled. I believe it's October 30th.
Do you have a time frame?
That's correct.
6
6
p.m.
o'clock.
All right, Forest Fire Warden, he's not here either. Governor Wentworth School District. Nothing from them. Heritage Commission, hi Marilou.
Hi. So we appear to be having issues with the inside door at the townhouse. I received a forward of an email. I knew that it was happening on the day that we did the site survey workshop in the townhouse, and showed it to, what did I show it to? Rich and to Tom Hill that day. Evidently, the top hinges are not holding in the wood frame. So Bill forwarded an email from Brad Williamson saying he would be happy to, he put some screws in. When I was there the other night, it looked like they were there, but Brad doesn't feel they will hold. And so, he didn't give me a price for that, if I remember. He talked about possibly having to take the door jamb off and redo it in order to get the screws to stay in the wood.
Put some toothpicks in there.
Okay, gum.
Matchsticks. Little gum.
Am I close?
He gave me a call.
Oh, he did give you a
He
quote.
gave me a call, he put 3-inch screws in, there was nothing he could bite into with a 3-inch screw. So what he's proposing is he take,
That off and put
open it up from the vestibule side, because he's gonna do less damage to get in there, and put some blocking in there, and then reattach the door with some screws. If he goes from the inside, there's the plaster, he wants to avoid touching the plaster.
Right, you did mention that. So, so I'm gonna be really tacky and say, but I don't feel we just want blocks of wood stuck there. I'm assuming he'll make it look nice. I guess is what I'm saying.
No, you wouldn't even see the block. I know what he's trying to do.
They're inside the petition.
But I have a local builder here that we could bounce this off of right now and find if a proper way of fixing and repairing this would be what?
16-inch screws go to the next stop.
Well, actually, that person and I looked at him last week and it looked fine, because I mentioned it to Eddie and said, look,
There's gotta be wood someplace.
there's
Those might be 2-foot centers.
That's right.
Weird that after all these years, it
Those-
just suddenly gives out.
It's been repaired.
No,
The
we
top-
repaired it.
Oh, it's been
The
repaired.
top
before.
2
Oh, yeah.
hinges have been
Yeah.
repaired,
Oh, yeah.
the bottom was the original.
About 8 years ago.
All right.
Richard, the German guy,
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Wick bolt.
Wick bolt.
he brought his 5-gallon pails of tools and everything to a copy. And he did his best, to repair it, but at that time, he said, I don't know how long,
On camera.
I don't know how long that will last, so.
Now we know.
Now,
No.
8 years.
He did pretty.
So putting some blocking behind there would be the best.
Yeah, when they peel the trim off, if it's simply having been fixed so many times that there's nothing there, you can put wood behind that stud, or you may want to move the hinge up, fill it in, carve out a new spot for a hinge and get in some different wood.
So, do we have any clue how much he felt this would cost? It sounds like it may not be too expensive, but I didn't get a price in the email that I remember.
He did not mention that to me.
Can you send him an email back and tell him we need a price as quickly as possible so we can get our door fixed?
Okay.
And I think he's looking for the blessing from the Historical Society to say,
Well, he has the
Good.
blessing if it looks fine and the price is reasonable. I mean, I don't want him, do you know what I mean? I don't want him,
Well, it has to be fixed.
it has to be fixed. We all agree
Well,
that.
if he doesn't have time to get to it and he doesn't want to do it, then we need to get somebody else in there to do it. And I know a couple of local contractors
So-
that would be more than willing to step up to do it.
So how about if the cost is, if we agree that the cost is under, what would it be?
250.
Yeah, then we'll approve it, you'll approve it. And otherwise, if it's higher than that, he needs to let us know. Is that reasonable?
More than,
More
Yeah,
than
it's a little high.
200? 175?
Can I hear,
the problem is you won't really.
No, until you open it up.
I know.
Until you pull it off, so just, maybe he could volunteer a half an hour to pull the trim off, and then give you an estimate.
Yeah, moving the hinge is a good idea too, that's. right.
Well, that's more of a.
that's more of a definite.
You know you're gonna get in some decent wood there.
So, yeah,
Okay. It does have to be fixed, we know. And definitely before the end of the month.
yeah, we gotta have it fixed before November 10th.
Which is why I'm going for the end of the month with Brad.
Okay. All right. Is that all from the Heritage Commission?
Yes.
All right, Joint Loss Management Quarterly. The meeting is going to be December 11th, 2012 at 6 PM. Do they have any announcements or anything that they need to pass right now? No?
No, nothing.
Planning Board.
You want me to give the report?
I have two members here. I don't care who gives the report.
3 here, there too.
I'm the Selectman's rep.
It'll be brief,
Okay,
with your permission.
please.
Each meeting.
Do you want the box too?
Each
So you can
meeting
cover
has-
that with it?
Do you want me to cover that?
Sure, you can cover that real quick. I think it's still in here.
Before I start, just.
Seems like somebody put some rocks in there.
That's sand. There's a GPS or device on it. At the planning board yesterday, Bob Bordeaux of Moose Mountain Recreation presented a drawing of his proposed disc golf course. The board considers this course to be very low impact, and our zoning has golf disc courses as a permitted use. It's the option of the board to decide in either direction. We can require Mr. Bordeaux to fill out a conditional use permit, or we can waive the requirement. The board voted unanimously to waive the requirement pending review by legal counsel. Also, FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Administration, has sent the board a letter. The agency has changed their floodplain map and are asking us to update our zoning maps. Our rules of procedure state that board members need 10 days to review these changes before any action is taken. The next item on the agenda is what I just handed out to you. It's the review of the 2012-2013 New Hampshire Association of Regional Planning Commissions Annual Legislative Action Priorities document. Now, I brought this to the planning board for a specific reason. On November 8th, each commissioner of the 18-member towns are going to be asked to vote on these items on this sheet. Now, I'm going to give you a little background. There's 9 regional planning commissions in New Hampshire. We are part of the Strafford Regional Planning Commission. Above the 9 regional planning commissions, there's the New Hampshire Association of Regional Planning Commissions, like the umbrella over it. In that state level, they have a legislative policy subcommittee, which meets to discuss how to support and oppose legislation. Now, I don't know who the SRPC representative for this town was before me, but I don't believe this was ever brought to your attention, that they actually vote on these items. Now, usually in a representative government, the citizen goes to your elected representative and asks for representation. This board, the Strafford Regional Planning Commission, kind of goes around that and supports these items on here. Now, you can watch the video of this meeting on our website. 88 people from Rochester showed up in opposition to a lot of this stuff, mostly because None of the councils of Rochester, Dover, Brookfield has ever heard of this stuff. A good example of two items that I supported for Brookfield were the two items I believe that would be acceptable to you. The first one, under sustainability, was to promote the establishment of programs and incentives which promote product stewardship and the proper disposal of household hazardous waste. Sounds good. You go to the livability section, next page. This is what the general public feels the SRPC is responsible for. Encouraging the coordination, cooperation, and communication of communities to work with each other. If you look at some of these other items, under prosperity, they want to support workforce housing. Now, if you don't support workforce housing, they're going to support it for you. And the way they do it is, the Legislative Policy Subcommittee comes up with a Excel spreadsheet. And on the sheet, they have the bill number of the legislation, they have the title, and then they say they're going to either oppose it or support it. And they will go down and they will lobby the legislature. So under workforce housing, I believe a few years ago, there was something that came, before I came to town, there was something they tried to pass through, which was workforce housing. Well, they were there to lobby for that. Just want to make you aware if that's what they do. And they also write letters. They write
Well,
letters.
there actually was legislation requiring every town to put in effect provisions and areas in that town through the planning board
Workforce
where
housing.
workforce housing could be built. So that's already passed.
Yeah,
Is this something further than that?
No, what he's saying is that the SRPC went to the state and lobbied to get that passed.
Whether the people wanted it or not.
Whether we agreed with it or not as a town, they went on our behalf and said, all of our towns want this, so we're gonna lobby for it. And what he's telling you is they're going and lobbying and doing all this stuff.
Okay.
Now, under sustainability for number 7, it's the first page. Now, these are very open-ended items, and this was the concern that at least 3 to 4 commissioners from other towns of the SRPC are worried about, along with the 88 to 90 citizens that showed up, which you can watch that video, they were very upset about it. Under number 7, it says, promote the conservation, preservation, and protection of surface and groundwater resources. Now, they don't really expound of how they're going to support this. Now, your governor signed an executive order creating the Water Sustainability Commission. If you haven't heard of this, one of the items on this commission's goal to protect water is to make water throughout the state a communitarian asset. Meaning, they want to do what Oregon did with their water system, meaning the water, surface water, groundwater becomes a state-owned asset, state-owned regulated asset. This is one of the goals of the Sustainability Commission. So these open-ended statements I have, and a lot of other commissioners have a problem with. Now, on November 8th, we're going to go through these step-by-step again. I'm sure some of these may be taken out. I don't think any of them are going to be added. But I just wanted to make Brookfield aware that there is an arm of the regional planning commissions in the state level that actually lobbies. And if you're not aware of what goes on in these meetings, do we really know what they're lobbying for? So I just want to make you aware that when there is a policy committee, either watch my video, which will allow you to see what goes on in the meetings, or go to these meetings. Rochester and surrounding towns have started to really open up to a lot of what's going on here. Regional planning is important. I mean, you know, you have to know what neighboring towns are doing. If something Wolfboro is doing is going to affect Brookfield, that's what we should come together and view. But there are other items here that they support and encourage, but they don't really specify how they're going to support it. But they do actively lobby and create, they testify about things and everything else. So just wanted to make you aware of that. If you have any questions, you can email me or call, and I'll also, we can actually probably probably put on our calendar maybe when the SRP meetings are, because I'm also your representative on the Metropolitan Planning Organization Technical Advisory Committee.
Do you have any comments on the last page, 2012 legislative action priorities?
Yes, this is why they generate this Excel sheet to actually, to go by this. So the first two pages are a broad-based view of it, and then you have the more focused ones.
But are they supporting this through a lobbying effort? These 12 legislative action priorities?
Yes. Now, this is the 2012-2013 annual, so this is the new one. The old one is
Agricultural and forestry.
very similar to this one. And they continue to support each and every one of them. Now, I had asked in the meeting, how do they pay for their support? How are they supporting? What mechanism are they supporting? Most of the SRPCs do, or the RPCs in the state and the nation do, is they leverage federal funds. So through grants and through federal programs like this one, I'll explain in a minute, is part of President Obama's Sustainable Communities Initiative. That's at the national level. Each state has their own separate one. These type of supports bring in federal money and federal influence to help us with local planning. Now this legislative policy document is what allowed the SRPC, which in this case it was the Nashua RPC, to write a grant through HUD, EPA, and the DOT to start the Sustainable Communities Initiative, which in New Hampshire this is called the Granite State Future Agreement. In New Jersey it's called Sustainable New Jersey, and in other states they have other things. Now I was tasked to bring this to the town. Now basically what this is a listening station. In order to get money from the feds, they have to make sure that there's community involvement in planning and in zoning. You can all take one of these and read it. They want you to fill out this card. And the card says, what is best about this area? Do you live or work here, or you're a visitor? And how could you make the area better? Now, they're apparently going to bring this stuff, put it all together in compilation, and they're going to use it to go to HUD to make sure that that your area wants to do this kind of stuff. Now, if you don't know anything about the Granite State Future Agreement, I also videotaped. I have brought an opposing view to the planning board to discuss this whole entire issue. It would take me about an hour and a half to explain it, so I could actually be put on the agenda next time to explain it, or have actually several people come here and explain what this Granite State Future Agreement is. But it's a federal grant program, and it's the items here that the Strafford Regional Planning Commission supports these type of efforts. Now, this is a very complicated issue because this Granite State Future Agreement is signed by towns and communities, which many have begun to reject now that they found out what it really means. What it's doing is, it's using the Fair Housing Act and other legislation and other civil rights legislation to create social justice and environmental justice. It's very complicated to explain all this, but it's basically to make everything more equal for everybody.
Give the explanation of what happened in New York.
In upstate New York, a town signed on to the agreement, which allowed them to get HUD money. They had to put certain overlays for workforce housing and non-discriminatory overlays of disproportionate populations. Apparently, they didn't follow the rules exactly right. And what they did is, there's nonprofit organizations that will scan the areas that they agreed upon, and if they see anything wrong with it, they put a complaint in, and then the town is sued. if they don't adhere to what they agreed to. And some people would say, well, if you're gonna take federal money, you have to do what it says to do. But it's very open-ended. I mean, this creates equity teams. And an equity team would be comprised of disadvantaged populations in town. They have not really explained to me how the people get on the commissions, but they get these people that are disproportionately disadvantaged, put in these equity teams, and they're used to shape your zoning and planning to make everything more equitable. And these are the terms they're using. It's very complicated. I'd have to go into it for another an hour and a half, but it's, I needed permission on where to put this.
What was the cost to the town of New York?
Now, I can't exactly quote, but I believe that this cost $48,000. Now, there's another story to this. I was never given any type of a training course on what this was. Many towns were not. When they were given the course by the opposition, the towns declined it. Rochester did not sign on to it. It was defeated, I believe it was 8-3. After they found out what HUD was really up to and how they were going to enforce it. But what was the question?
How much did it cost the town in New York in the lawsuit?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because they didn't follow HUD's
I believe it was
rules.
$53 million that they settled for. Now, there's another story to this. I wasn't given a training session on this, so I brought my video camera down to the Rockingham Planning Commission. And didn't ask permission, but I went into their executive board and I videotaped the training session for what the Granite State future is. The planners of New Hampshire did not know how they were going to sell this to the town. So what they did is they went to a very well-known PR company called Action Media. Action Media is who you will see on the video explaining not really what the Granite State future is, but how they are to sell it to the towns. They were not happy that I was there to videotape it. The next day I got a cease and desist order by Action Media, Michael Goldberg, telling me he did not want this presentation online or transmitted anywhere. So I got a cease and desist order. I asked my lawyer, should I or should I not, what should I do? They said it was a public meeting, you can do anything you want. So it's there to see. So they hired a public relations company to sell this to the towns. So it's very complicated, but mostly it was I came here to tell you that during the planning board meeting, I brought this legislative policy document to the town because I said this in the meeting, you can hear me on tape. I asked the other commissioners, who else has brought this back to their town? No one. So they have commissioners that are on the commission that were appointed by representatives, and there's some there that are actual House representatives, and they have not went back to their towns to explain this. So if you have any questions about this or you want input, you can either give me your input or you can come to the meeting on November 8th and ask questions about this, because the other part of the story is this document was actually voted on and passed by their executive board. There's the commissioners, which I'm one of the commissioners, and then there's an executive board, which is just ministerial. At that level, this was brought to the executive board, and it was voted and passed. Under protest, it was passed. Because of the videotape, they found out that they really never should have voted on such a document. It's not up to the purview of the executive board to vote on this stuff. It's the policy committee. That's what I represent for Brookfield Policy Committee. So this came back to the policy committee. This is where almost 100 people from the public showed up and were up in arms about a lot of the stuff that was in here. So.
Anybody have any questions?
No, but I thank Ed for his
Yeah.
presentation.
Okay. Would anybody like to have him come back at another meeting and do a longer presentation on this? So you could have a better understanding of everything that's going on at SRPC?
At one point, the planning board was supposed to have the SRPC come in to have the other view, right? It'd be nice to have both views, maybe this meeting, maybe that meeting, maybe both.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
We had our meeting. I had the opposition come to the planning board to describe in detail all the requirements that the town is really signing on to by joining the Granite State Future Agreement. The next week, I invited Cynthia Copeland from the Strafford Regional Planning Commission to come here and give their side. Bring anybody, bring HUD, bring the HUD representative. She did not answer the letter. And then when I approached her, she basically said she's going to ignore it.
Well, actually, she was actually invited and she had a date to come down and present. And then she backed out of that date. And the planning board sent her a letter requesting that she comes down and she presents, at which point the letter's been ignored up to this point.
Now, I verbally asked her, just answer the letter. She will not answer the letter. She said if Brookfield wants to know about the Granite State Future Agreement, they can come to the meeting November 8th, quote unquote.
Because we ask questions and not cooperating.
Yes.
If I could just add a comment, if anybody has not been to the presentation by the opposition group and has it on his website, it's fascinating to listen to. It's probably one of the best presentations that I've ever seen as far as how they presented it, and whether you're for it or against it, it's worth watching.
It's under planning,
really done.
on the website it's under planning, and the heading is for June 26th, I believe. So it's planning June 26th.
Okay. With that note, I'm going to cut in real quick, and the box was presented us to put in place, and I didn't feel that I had the authority to place it within the townhouse without speaking to the rest of the board members, so we put it into my office until we could have our meeting. So I would like to hear from the rest of the board members whether or not that, you know, if we're going to display this in the townhouse, where we would display it in the townhouse, and how we would like to proceed with it.
Guess I'd like to see that questionnaire, please. The one you pulled out aside. Type of information that's going to be gathered.
I'm not sure. They're pretty vague questions. Can you hand me one? And I will read it. It says, Granite State Future wants to hear from you. What is best about this area? Use the back if needed. And then it says and then there's a box for live, work, or visit, or am a seasonal resident. You check one of those boxes. It says, what could make this area even better? And then do you want more info about the Granite State Future, yes or no? And then it asks for your name, email, and address. And that's pretty much all it states on the questionnaire cards. And then there's the little handout that really didn't have a whole lot of information on it as well. About what
Sounds to me what they want is your name.
email and address.
Yeah. I don't give people
Propaganda.
my name.
So,
I recommend we put it in the selectman's office, and if someone really wants to answer the questionnaire, they can,
Oh, yeah, put it in the selectmen's office.
They could-
There's
they-
lots of room in there.
we'll put it on the other side, we'll put it in the selectman's office, and if someone really would like to fill out the questionnaire, they can arrange to fill it out.
I didn't know we had sides.
You are being kinder than I would have been.
Go ahead.
Put it all back in the shop if you want.
Hey, you can put it upstairs. Once it goes upstairs, it never comes down.
okay. So we put it back in the selectman's office, and if somebody wants to fill it out, they can fill
I'm
it
gonna
out.
keep it, I'm gonna go to the website.
I would suggest, I've looked into it and I've been doing a lot of reading on it, so I would strongly suggest that if you're curious about what it's about, which it should be, because one of the things that they were talking about, and Ed brought up about the water thing, where the state wants to own all your water rights, that includes regulating your own personal wells. So you'd have a meter on your well. Any ponds that you would have would not be your water, it would be the state's water. If you've ever noticed, the city of Stockton actually just turned over all of their water rights to a private company to manage. They figured that a private company could manage their water rights better than they could, and do all the maintenance and keeping the pipes and everything up. And I understand hiring outside contractors, but this company now owns all the water in the city of Stockton. If you go if there's some really great documentaries, there we go, it's been a long day, out there on what they call the water wars. And it talks about the really big companies who are buying up all the water rights in the world. They own water rights in Africa. They own water rights down in South America. They own water rights here in the United States. And there's like 7 of these big companies that own these water rights, and they operate under a variety of different names in different areas. But it's one company, they have like 8 names that they own different areas. And they call them water wars because, eventually water is going to be more precious than gold. The way, and that's the theory on it is if we own the water, we control the world, because we all have to have water to survive.
It's easier to control the water than the food.
So I would suggest learning about all this stuff and making sound decisions and writing, our representatives and really voicing our opinions on how we want to proceed with this stuff. Because some of it's downright scary. Yes, sir.
So what about Ed's proposal to do a presentation instead of doing it at a selectmen's meeting, having some kind of a public forum?
Saturday coffee.
Saturday morning coffee
It's time to start up coffees anyway.
with blueberry cake.
With blueberry cake.
What does he mean by that?
Something organized.
Right.
That gives credibility to the discussion that needs to be had, the information that needs to be had for the general public. I'm a little concerned about doing it as a coffee hour thing, simply because it sounds like it's rather involved. I mean, people aren't gonna come to an hour and a half presentation no matter what you offer them, but to highlight it as a public information session, I don't know, of an evening, or I would think of an evening, like from 7 to 8, and advertise it, put it on the website, indicate, because I have a feeling that the coffee hour would not give enough time for the content that needs to be presented, at least from what I gather.
Like
what
a
you're
charrette?
saying. Well, not exactly a charrette, but more just public information. Yeah.
A presentation, I got it.
A presentation, exactly.
Would that be
yeah.
something you'd be up to, Ed? Okay.
May I suggest that we have our tax bills going out? It might not be good to be with a tax bill, but we have our little newsletter.
Yeah.
It's awful heavy already, Bill.
We have our newsletter going out, and to grab people's attention, to be a little slip of paper that's stapled to the newsletter, not to give it additional work, but it would really catch people's eyes as something very important.
Would
Red
this be
flag.
something the planning board could promote, and it be their presentation?
It
They
is
get
dealing
this
with planning,
information,
yes.
Then why not put it under the planning board news in the newsletter?
I think it needs to stand out if you're inviting people and you want to get a good crowd, I think by standing out on a separate piece of paper, it catches your eye, and you know this is extremely important.
I will work with Ed to set something up for an evening presentation over at the townhouse.
Would this not be something that other communities might want to invite other communities also?
Surrounding communities anyways.
The surrounding communities to hear, especially Wakefield, because we're joined at the hip with them in so many different things.
And they also, Wakefield does not have a representative on the
That's what I was
SRPC.
gonna ask you. And that's bad.
But they're
They
part
do
of it.
that,
They do not.
But they belong to
You
SRPC.
have to. By state
Yeah.
law, you have to be a member.
But Willsboro belongs to LRPC.
Correct.
Yeah, Lake
What?
Street.
No.
Question, is there at any point that we do not get a choice in this? That in other words, a certain portion of the state goes with this, that it's forced down all our throats?
I wouldn't put it that way. I would say more if the towns, if towns surrounding one town that's already signed onto it, the effects are going to be felt. I mean, you won't be bound to have an equity team and everything else, but as time gets tougher and people need money for infrastructure, I mean, Brookfield doesn't have debt like Rochester does because it has a lot of infrastructure that it can't pay for. So the HUD and the feds come in with their grants and they take it. Except now they're starting to understand there's a lot of strings attached to this stuff from the feds.
Ed, are you the right person to make the presentation? Or
I
should you be in the audience listening?
I will have several experts here on all sides to explain step by step what this was, or what this grant program actually is. It's not just gonna be me, because there's a lot of information to go through.
Okay.
It'll be very similar to what you saw on the videotape. about-
I guess my concern is if we're sponsoring it, we've got to be careful that we're not biased.
It's just factual information.
As long as we do that, we're okay. But I don't want to be spinning it for the audience.
There will be no spinning.
Okay.
We just bring all the facts. All the facts were brought to Rochester, and the HUD representative, the New Hampshire HUD representative showed up to give his presentation, and he lost. Because once the information got out and the counselors saw what it really was, and you make up your own mind. We'll put on the presentation, give the information. Perhaps the HUD representative will show to give, I can't get the executive director to show. Maybe the HUD representative will show to explain his part of it.
Mr. Brown, you had a question?
To give some structure to your Granite State Future box there, you could always send a letter to the SRPC saying that, we would be more than glad to put it out for public consumption if you would come up here and explain to us what this implies. It gives some structure for having it in there.
Okay.
Ms. Copeland will hand deliver it.
Now, in my commissioner's handbook for the SRPC, it states that it operates as a political subdivision of the state of New Hampshire. The SRPC serves as an advisory role to local governments. Our letter to Cynthia Copeland was asking for advice. We wanted to hear the other side. We wanted to hear what regional impact would this have on us? Like your question was, if we sign on to this, what does that mean?
So what you just read, is it correct then that it's from the top down, it's not from the bottom up? It's not the pyramid where the town says to SRPC, these are our concerns. It's,
Federal bound.
You mean in the fact that they haven't responded?
no, in terms of what you just read, of the role of SRPC, or of all the regional planning board, that it starts at the top, the state, and they advise us on what the state wants to do, not vice versa, where they're looking for input from the towns and the residents of the towns to take it to the state for what we want. Is that?
Correct assumption. And that would lead to this legislative policy document. It's supposed to go from us to the elected, to the state representative, to the legislature. If they are going, if the SRPC and the the New Hampshire Association of Regional Planning Commissions at the top are going to the legislature and supporting and promoting this, were you ever asked that you want them to support workforce housing? Did you ask them to do all these items?
Well, it's been reflected too in the last master plan that we had SRPC do for us.
Right.
We had to fight tooth and nail to get them to address our local resources and our local plans. They wanted to address how we fit into the regional plan. And shortly thereafter, the planner that did this job, he left SRPC and went to Maine.
Yeah, they kept putting sidewalks and downtowns
Oh,
into
yeah.
Brookfield
Oh,
that we
yeah.
didn't,
Oh,
that we
yeah.
don't have, yeah.
Yeah.
What's good for Rochester is
Right.
good for Brookfield.
Right, it's good for the region, but not your particular concerns.
If you go to page 2 under livability, number 5 is to promote regional solutions to help solve local issues.
Yeah, that's exactly what they were pushing. And that's what we got.
And this is this year's annual policy document. Last year's was basically the same. And I'm here as your representative on that board to tell you this is what's going on that board. I mean, there's a lot more that I don't have enough time to explain.
Any other questions for Ed on this? I will work with Ed to set up a presentation night.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good.
Can you put that back in my office?
Don't want your fingerprints on
I
it.
thought it was a donation, I thought it was a donation box.
Oh, too heavy. No money.
All right, under old business, I don't think we need to go back to the planning board now.
Whoa, I got a question.
Yep, go ahead.
You took the action item to talk to them about zoning with trailers. Did you do that?
We have not, the planning board has not brought that up or discussed it yet.
You were gonna take it to them. The issue is we've got that trailer that we didn't write a letter on.
We did write a letter on
We
it.
never issued it. That letter never went out, right? 75? No.
The letter about the building permit? The one that the attorney wrote?
That's the one. We held it
We held it.
because we're going to the planning board.
Oh, no. Okay. No, that letter should have gone out regardless of what the planning board does. Because that addresses an immediate issue. The planning board wouldn't be able to do anything anyway until town meeting, which puts time and distance between a lot of time between the current issue and when the planning board would make be able to put anything in front of the town on it.
Does that, by not sending it, does that really change anything?
No.
And I would say we hold on to it.
Well, that's what we said last time.
Okay.
And then we said, because our zoning says you're not allowed to do it, the chairman was going to go to the planning board and say, we should take a look at our zoning so that when there's an emergency, this is allowed.
Right. Or at least should hold the letter for the time being. If we let it, right. Okay.
Okay, I will, see, that's not what I thought this was, planning board update on zoning, I'm sorry. I will bring this back up to them and see where if they can get it in. I know that they're working on a couple of issues right now that they're trying to put through. So, okay, employee conference travel stay, slash stay guidelines.
I said I'd put together a proposal, and I did. And it's a draft, of course. And hopefully we can modify it. I'm sorry, can read Jessica. Local travel guidelines. Let me read it. The town of Brookfield will reimburse an employee's travel and business expense when the expense is directly related to the business function they perform for the town. As a general policy, expenses related to organizational support functions will not be reimbursed. The town will reimburse an employee current IRS mileage rate for use of a private automobile associated with the travel.
That's not correct. We reimburse at a lower rate.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay, that's why it's a draft.
So it should be at the current
Town
town
rate.
rate
Okay.
instead of the IRS rate. Sorry.
It's all right.
No?
Approval of the selectmen is to be obtained prior to incurring the expense unless the trip is an emergency. Any request for reimbursement shall be submitted to the town treasurer no later than days after the expense was incurred.
So typically we pay for the conference up front.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only thing that would be left would be mileage. That would be reimbursed after.
Any mileage.
Mileage for that event.
Yeah, but
Any mileage.
if
If-
Diana goes to the registry, or all that mileage is reimbursable. When, he's asking when you
Town
want it
business.
Well,
quoted to you, requested from you.
at this point, so if it's an hourly employee, currently it is submitted with their monthly timesheets. If it's an elected official, I currently am getting them from Virginia on a quarterly basis for mileage. And Diana, I get
Every once in a while.
Twice a year,
yeah, usually.
twice a year.
I have an issue with number 2, paragraph 2. The town will reimburse the employee at the current town mileage rate for the use of a private automobile. I should say their private automobile. Because Jessica would be writing that lady, who's paying, with the woman going to that workshop, who's paying,
We haven't even gotten that
who's
close
paying the
to
mileage?
discussing.
And if you take somebody else, you know, that type of thing, if they're sharing a ride.
No, I think we're gonna go in separate cars.
What I'd like to do is table it for 2 weeks, let people think about it, modify it, and then we'll talk about it again in 2 weeks.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. So we have a working document, we'll all read it over and come back and discuss it in 2 weeks. Sounds good.
Before you get to the floor, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Nate Fogg. Anybody?
I did, I talked to him. I was gonna bring that up. I emailed Nate Fogg in regards to, getting an idea of when he could get it done. And he gave me, trying to think of the email that he sent me. I'll send it off to you guys. I believe it's by the end of this month or by the end of November that he wants to have that completed.
Excellent.
Another issue? The Avatar bill, I guess it would go under old in regards to the legal issue with Fairpoint Communication.
Okay, so you wanna do that before the schoolhouse floor?
If I could.
Okay.
We have a bill from
Mitchell, yep,
about representing us. And when we originally got a letter from somebody, they were gonna represent all the towns. I'm just wondering why the attorney's going for us rather than, my intention was, I thought we were gonna sign on with the attorney that was gonna represent like 20 towns. And from the bill, it sounds like they wanna represent themselves, or ourselves, our town only.
no. You guys didn't get the email that she sent out?
I did, I sent everybody an email, you got it too.
Yeah, there's an email that the town attorney sent out, whereas they are representing, I think it's 27,
Oh, I thought it was
26 or
26.
27 towns
Yeah.
that are their clients, including Brookfield.
Okay, so
Apparently, this representation is not covered under the contract with Avatar. And therefore, if we go with Avatar and their representation, we're paying them their attorney fees and so forth to represent. And Mitchell Bates already has their clients. And in in that email, she explained how they were going to, how to read the bill, where there'll be 2 line items where there's a portion, like where she filed directly for Brookfield, that's a Brookfield direct cost, where they're representing all 27 towns, that will be divided by the 27 towns.
And is that on these legal bills or on?
This is the first I've seen them, I haven't seen them yet.
Yeah.
You want me to print
The
an
27
email?
towns is by size or something?
Yeah, when we started, help me catch up again. It wasn't clear to us whether this was part of the Avatar contract. That was 2 weeks ago. And we were gonna forward all this material to Avatar,
No, to the town attorney.
to the town attorney, to get a reading, I thought, on whether this was part of the contract or not.
Right.
And the feedback we're getting is it's not part of the contract.
That's the feedback I'm getting.
Okay,
She's printing out the email for everybody.
okay. The bill is for $2,000 so far. And our tax income so far has been $4,000, and that's what we're up against.
so if she's sending that same letter for 27 towns, it basically just changes everything. No, she's sending a letter to the court representing
That one's
us.
already been initialed off, that's a whole other subject, that doesn't belong with this group.
Okay.
Here's one that's professional services. It says LSM, time on docket, preparation of appearance, correspondent with court and closing same, 1/27 of Fairport General Time. So this one's broken down, we are one of 27, so this is a 27th of the total cost of what our balance would be.
That's excellent.
Yeah,
Okay,
no problem.
on this one,
That was for $100. That's good.
148.
That's good. This big one,
Yeah, this is review a petition, teleconference with attorney, review of legal strategy issues. Some of this I shouldn't actually be going on because it's confidential. Client, town things. So basically, this bill here is 100% Brookfield's for her getting us ready for this.
yes, I'm sorry, no question.
Yes?
I'm just confused as to, I think what I'm understanding is that our town's lawyer is also, or that law firm is also the law firm is representing the other 26 towns, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, didn't get that.
Yes. We are one of 27 towns.
But I couldn't tell who the lawyer was for the 27 towns. So then my next question is, do we have an explanation of why this isn't covered by Avatar, yet the land use change board issue that we talked about earlier is? What's the difference between them?
I don't have that explanation, to be honest.
So then
That is
Then a
something I'll have to
follow-up
get.
question is, sounds like we need to do some work on our contract, and how do we get that contract to be more advantageous to us? Our contract with Avatar, I mean.
I'm still wondering how telephone poles and telephone lines aren't considered a utility,
But yeah, so,
but apparently they're not.
so I think we have a responsibility to the town to understand why there's a difference
Absolutely we
in
do.
that,
So,
what gets covered by the Avatar contract and what doesn't.
That's excellent. The question is, do they cover any legal costs?
Well, we heard earlier they're gonna cover us at this land use change board.
No,
Because-
we didn't hear that. We heard.
that is covered under our contract because
It's under abatements.
it's under
It says
abatements.
it right in
Well,
there.
so is this.
Isn't this an abatement?
Well, certainly is. They're challenging our abatement.
For residential.
It doesn't say that in the contract. You have to ask Laura.
Yeah, and like, again, my read on the contract for that is that when they do an assessment on a residential property for the town, and that assessment is challenged, then they represent us to that. And I may be misunderstanding the contract as I read it, I'm not an attorney, that it's done at no cost to us as part of our contract. But this is something outside, and that's why we had to pay that additional $1,500 for this, and all
So
that.
that's possibly the explanation, is that because the telephone isn't part of utilities, and telephone wasn't part of the contract, therefore all this isn't.
Right,
That's possibly the explanation, but we don't know for sure.
so I
Well,
don't.
we paid him $1,500. So
To
what-
do the assessment for the telephone
So that
lines.
doesn't throw it under,
I would assume that it would, because we took their advice on this issue. We accepted their numbers on this issue, and we followed their direction.
I think, Clifton, if you have time, call her again. We paid for a service. That's your point, Bill. We paid
That's correct.
$1,500.
and we followed their instructions to go in half, in fact.
That's right. And now they say it's not part of the contract. Well, we paid for the service. Maybe she doesn't know we paid for the service.
She has to, because we sent her we sent her everything on this,
Okay.
including their letters to us regarding this issue and the amounts that were paid. And then I will call Avatar and ask them the same question.
Yes.
You must have send a copy to the attorney as well.
But if I'm gonna have to pay, if the town's gonna have to pay for legal representation one way or the other, I would rather pay our current town attorney than pay Avatar and that attorney.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
So, and then at the end of this contract, maybe we should take it back out to bid and renegotiate or relook at the contract itself.
I know there's a lot of other towns that use Avatar, maybe we can learn from their contracts.
We understand, talking to DRA, or who was that fellow that was in, Jessica?
Yep, that's,
You can use the DRA, you can use the Avatar software, and all the data that's in it will remain as our data in software, and pay Avatar for the software, and they get someone else to do the assessing and the representation and the whatever.
Right. Yeah, because their software is a separate entity from their assessing firm.
Well, that gets us back to the bill for $2,000 from the attorney.
Right.
Now, I mean, she's representing 20-some odd towns, that's,
this is the first time I've seen this bill, so.
And I could see the 2,000 split 20 or whatever ways, that would make sense, or something reasonable, but that seems like a lot of money.
You're collecting 2,000 from each one of the towns?
We don't know.
Don't know, they want 2,000 from us.
Okay, so before we pay this bill, I'll call her and have her explain the bill to me.
That's a good start.
But we did get billed for the emails we sent her.
Oh, yeah, you get billed for reading the faxes. That's in there also.
Yeah.
That's a standard charge regardless of the size of the town.
It's broken down by hours that
Yeah.
they work, so
Yeah.
that's how we get billed.
Right.
So like,
Regardless of the size of the
The
town.
town wouldn't have any.
right, it's based on our billing rate agreement with them. So if we send them an email and it takes her 15 minutes to review it, she bills us for a quarter of an hour. If it's a large email with attachments, it could take us, this one was for 0.40 hours, so
I
not
was just
quite half
thinking
an
of the
hour.
taxable property involved.
That's exactly right. We
I
got
mean, we have very
4,000.
very few telephone poles in this town in comparison to maybe some larger towns. So our tax income.
So you want me to ask her to
No, I'm just curious.
discount it based on our telephone pole count?
Well, I mean, they must have that information somewhere.
Yeah, we sent it to them.
Every town has different number of poles, and that's what we're talking about, is money. Value.
It'd be cheaper to give everybody a cell phone.
Could be. Give it time.
That's coming anyway.
Okay.
That's it. Okay.
So that's, I mean, again, this is the first time, so I'll call her and have her explain the bill and.
She's gonna charge it, explain it, so.
Yeah, we're gonna get charged to have that explanation. I know. But that was according to the email that, certain things would be divided between the 27 towns and certain things would be charged that were specific to the town of Brookfield would be charged totally to Brookfield. Sorry. Okay, anything else on this before we move on to the schoolhouse floor? Okay. Under old business, we have the schoolhouse floor, the questionnaire.
I don't think it's really the floor, I think it's more the building itself and what will be done with the schoolhouse. Did you do some questions?
I tried to put, these are not official, these are yours to start with.
Cool. I have 6 in my head.
Well, you can add them to those and bring them back next
Thank
week or
you.
whatever you want.
Thank you.
On that line, change it from schoolhouse floor to say schoolhouse use / repair.
These are,
Now, before you get rolling, the craft fair is December 1st, and I told them, they can't use the back, the schoolhouse, until I talk to you. I told her I'd send her an email, but, only a few people, they can use the bathroom and all that. Last year, they didn't use it. This year, she doesn't know how many are in there yet, but, so she's waiting for word from me. But I booked it, at least the front can be done, so.
Who are these people?
Susie Warren,
Is it an
I'll never
organization,
know
is it a private or just a
I
private?
have the forms. I have her fill out a form every year,
It's
but
a
it's
a private organization?
yeah.
Do they
They're
pay?
townspeople.
no, they're townspeople
Yeah,
But it's
but-
not
that do
like,
a craft fair.
it's not
Yeah.
Heritage or. it's
No,
not-
it
No, no,
typically
no.
is, but usually in the past,
Was it
I don't
Bloomers?
know that it's-
Wasn't the Bloomers?
there were people from the Bloomers
Bloomers
involved
involved
in it, but
I
no,
think,
it's local craftspeople.
well, what's local?
Local does include Wolfboro and other towns, not just Brookfield.
Sounds like it's for profit.
Oh, it is. It's their Christmas,
Their Christmas being the craftspeople.
yes.
Then I would just keep them out of the schoolhouse, except for using the facilities.
Now, they rent a table, I don't know where the money, everybody rents a table, I don't know where that money.
It's their event.
Yeah, I don't know where that was the money.
Kind of a traditional thing, right, at this point.
Yeah, it's been going on for
Yeah.
I thought they
years.
used to donate the money to, some money to the scholarship fund.
I don't know.
I think the table rent maybe went to the scholarship fund.
I thought it was the raffle tickets went to the scholarship fund.
And Jenny used to sit there and sell Brookfield town items.
Yeah, along with
Originally.
the raffle tickets.
Yeah.
Now, it was only Brookfield residents that's, and obviously it is for a profit. And I think last year, whenever, one of the years, there were only a couple people from Brookfield, everybody else was from out of the area. I'm sorry, from Brookfield. So I don't have any problem with the Brookfield people, but I just have, I don't have a problem with anybody coming, but I just think if we're providing the electric, the heat,
There's a fee for
liability.
that, right?
25.
Yeah, we charge them a fee for the
Okay.
use.
can't beat that deal.
However, I will take you back to the use that we had, agreement we had previously, and it was $50.
Was it 50? I didn't give her a price, it's on the, I thought.
So I brought the agreement to the last couple of meetings, but I know I don't have it tonight, and I thought it was something that should be reviewed by the selectmen and see what, because it was an old schedule and fees have increased, and probably it should be revisited again.
Okay.
But I do have a copy of what I would assume is the current one.
And what do they do with the rent for the tables?
Some, they were some years, I can't remember what it is, but you're right, there is a donation that they make to the scholarship fund from this event, to the Brookfield Scholarship Fund.
So maybe
And it
they
could be
should
through the raffle tables, or raffle tickets, or whatever, somehow they did it. And we did sell town merchandise there. We actually had a booth set up where we sold town books, town mugs, and things like that as well. And I don't know if we paid, I don't think we ever paid a table charge for that. We just set it up and did it. So,
I can call her and get some information.
Susie Warren, if she's related to Larry Warren, does live in town.
Oh, is that Larry? I know Larry Warren.
It's his wife.
Oh, that's
I
his
assume
wife?
so, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I never knew who she was. I just got an email.
Yeah, they definitely.
Question
But I know
is,
Larry.
They live in
I
town.
know
Oh,
exactly
other than
where
the
they are,
handicapped
yeah.
access, use of that to bring somebody in with need of a wheelchair or something, I think it should be off use.
yeah, so we're agreeing, I think, Bill and I don't know where Clifton stands, but Bill and I are agreeing that they shouldn't be using the schoolhouse.
Unless it's
A
handicapped.
handicap or
Not all the
facilities.
facilities, right.
No tables.
Not more than, I told her like 3 people back there or something silly, you know, I was like, not too many people.
Mr. Brown, did you have a question or a statement?
No, I'll pass this time. I did want to make a comment before you go to new business, but separate subject.
Okay. Mr. Nason,
Yes, sir.
professional opinion on how many people can be utilized back there at one time?
We
We've
went
done this
through
once
this.
before. We just went through it, so
I don't know, what did I say last time?
30.
30?
Yeah, 30, yeah.
that was for the dinner.
Because they were only marching through, but they're doing basically the same thing.
Right. So, I mean, if they don't need,
They don't set up back there.
I don't think they set up back there, and it's just a thoroughfare for any handicap or
Or somebody carrying stuff.
carrying in yeah, they come up the ramp to set up through the back there when they park in the back, that's it. So if we just don't let them, right now, we just don't let them set up in the back. They have to utilize the space up front, only up front, and the back is only used as a thoroughfare and for restroom contingencies.
And then we should look at the agreement, that's the second.
I have revisit the town agreement, so for the next meeting. Anything else? Okay. Mr. Brown?
Just very quickly, I'm no longer on the school board, but I am the civilian representative to the school board. We completed our construction project at Kingswood on schedule, under budget, and in 2.5 years of construction, no accidents.
That's pretty
So,
impressive.
I just think I'm very pleased to report this. It is finally finished, complete, and we have a lot of very nice space now. As an aside, we increased our footprint. We almost doubled it. It's a 97% increase in the amount of square footage available for education. We increased our budget about 23.8% for energy. So that'll give you an idea of the fact that it is.
You increased or decreased?
That's an overall increase because we doubled the size that we've got to heat, but we only increased the energy budget by a little less than 24%.
Okay.
So, the old R walls, Cal wall, plastic wall was R4, they're now R30. The entire complex is significantly more energy efficient.
How many more students did we add?
Well, we added the Farmington students for vocational.
Yeah, but what,
and-
But they're only for vocational, they're not for,
what percentage, if we double the footprint, what percentage increase in students did
Well,
we
as
have?
you're well aware, with the economy turning down, the actual number of students in our system has been slowly decreasing.
Oh, okay.
However, this is not statistically a big factor, but you're correct, it is an important factor. And in fact, I believe if you read the Foster's Daily Democrat, there are other towns looking at sending their kids to the school. And if they pay the ongoing tuition rate, actually it helps offset our taxes.
and one of the other things I would like to point out is I do a lot of volunteer work over there with the Vista kids in the middle school, who were living in what they called modulars out back of the school. They had 2 modulars out there that they were paying huge money for every year.
For 15 years.
It was some astronomical number. It was like $100,000 a year for those modulars. And those students have now actually been moved into the new middle school areas. So the expense of those modulars every year are gone. And it brought those students in with the rest of the students in the school. So that makes it, that's a benefit and a savings that school doesn't, middle school doesn't have to pay out for those modulars anymore, or the upkeep and maintenance on them, and they were in pretty sad shape at that point. So.
The plan was to meet our needs through the year 2020. I think right now we can even go beyond that. And
That
we
means
started this plan back in 2000.
And the mortgage is for 30 years? What's,
We were planning to meet the needs for the next 20 years. I think we can exceed that.
No, he's talking about the bill.
The loan on the building is due.
Basically, the loan was for $67 million. $40 million comes from the state through various avenues, and $27 million was coming from the local taxpayers over a 30-year period.
30 years.
And at some point in the future, I hope to report to you that the issue of meeting CHIPS means that the state will kick in an additional $1.8 million over the life of the loan that the state will pay because we are so green.
That would be nice.
Thank you.
You into new business, or you think you've jumped over that?
I don't have anything written down for new business. I was gonna ask you if you had new business.
Okay. I have 3 things.
Okay.
We heard anything on setting the tax rate? I know we got something in the mail, they're gonna try to do it by mail or something.
I have not heard anything on setting the tax rate. Have you seen anything come through?
No.
I thought I read something about they were gonna try to do it by mail or something. Anyway, maybe I didn't. Election day, the coverage for election day that's coming up to cover the slots for coverage by the selectmen.
Yes.
I guess I'm looking at you.
I understand that you're not going to be available
I will be available for a couple hours, but I will not be available.
because you are a running candidate.
I can be here for a couple hours as long as I don't campaign and pretty much hiding somewhere. But I do plan to go out and visit people and hold signs and all that good stuff.
So
The election runs.
you
from
can't
what?
be here because you're a candidate,
I got you.
and you've got things that you need to take care of on
That's
that day.
correct.
8 to 7 we have to cover.
8 to 7.
Okay, I'm available.
Okay. And I have put in for the day off. I have requested a day off so I can be available as well. So I'll email my boss and find out if he's gonna approve that date or not. And at that time, I'll get with you and we'll set coverage between the two of us.
Town reports. I think you mentioned starting the process on that.
Town reports for the newsletter?
No, I'm
Or
sorry.
the-
No, not town reports. It's time to start
The budget.
doing our budget work. So we need to start setting up budget meetings. I know.
Okay.
I spoke to the planning board last night about getting their budget put together at their next meeting so they can get it submitted to us. We need to reach out to all the other town officials to
Looks
get,
at me, mine's done.
I don't have it.
Conservation Commission's all
Why am I
done.
giving it to you yet?
Okay, I haven't got it yet though. So I just need to reach out to them and let them know it's time to turn them in.
By
I
a
do
date,
have
can
a
you pick a
question.
date?
That's what we're gonna do, because we wanna set our first budget meeting. Budget meeting needs to be in November?
Yeah, could
Was it what?
we start in
You're
November?
just asking. Good.
Yeah, I don't see why we couldn't. Because I was gonna say, I need to give them all time to get it done, and most of them are already met for this, so we're gonna have to do it like the,
Third Tuesday?
Typically have done like in between, the Tuesday in between.
yeah, we meet every other Tuesday, or the second and fourth Tuesday, but we've been doing our budgets historically, our budget meetings are on the off Tuesdays. So, so let's set the first budget for the third Tuesday, that's pushing it at the end. Normally, we've already had at least 1 or 2 meetings by then. But to give them time to turn it in.
You may have to go to a Saturday or something, because the first Tuesday is election day,
Is
isn't
it?
it?
Yes.
Is it?
So we'll have to stick. We'll do the first one on the third Tuesday. If we have to put in a few extra days, then we will do so. So we'll set that first meeting for the budget at 7 o'clock on the third Tuesday of November. You got the date on that? Our calendar's gone.
Yeah, that was last year's.
Really?
Well, it's so impressive to have that.
Third Tuesday
It looked good, but it was.
of November. Can you, Marilou, can you walk in there and look at the calendar and tell me what date that is, please?
Certainly.
7 o'clock.
At 7 PM.
I'll put it on the calendar.
So when do we want the input?
November 20th,
November 20th.
this is 2012, right?
So do we want the input before that so we can look at it if there's questions?
Oh, yes, I would like the input, I would like all budgets to the select board by the first meeting in November, which is
The 13th.
the 13th. All budgets to the board.
I need to ask you how much
Of-
Avatar charges for tax collect.
1,500 typically,
Still 1,500?
was this year.
Okay.
But I typically get your bill before the end of the year.
So is that good with you guys? So we're
I don't
gonna
have a
hold.
calendar in front of me, so it sounds good.
Okay, well, let me know if we need to change it, and then we'll make those changes. And then, once, we've got everybody's agreeable, then I'll get with you so we can get it posted.
So that's why I
And then, as soon as we know, we'll post it and get it out there so people can see that it's gonna be at those dates.
Okay.
So,
She has sent an email to everybody.
I'll call before we adjourn the meeting to the headquarters at my house to get see what the calendar looks like.
okay, while we're doing mail. What's the other thing that you had?
We had election day covered, the report, set tax rate. What we've usually done is gone down make a field trip down there. They have all the paperwork they need, correct? to start?
Yeah, everything's in their office.
On by October 30th.
So, or if, for the last 2 years, we've gone down, right?
Correct.
Before that, they used to come here.
Maybe there's something in the mail. There's
I
something I've
remember,
seen.
Bill,
All right.
I remember that letter. that
So
you were saying.
let's take a look in the mail.
We do.
Any other new business? Yes, ma'am.
I would like to make a quarterly report for the web committee.
Oh,
We're past committees and officials.
Well,
Oh,
you didn't give me
my.
a chance to break in.
Okay, so can you put down quarterly on the agenda, quarterly report for the web committee?
Can you give her a date?
Yeah, and
Your
it-
quarterly date?
quarterly date,
Yeah.
like we do for the joint
Yeah.
lots.
So, as far as number of people hitting the website, what's called sessions in that first graph, I'm sorry for you guys out here, but we had on average about 1,100 a day for the last 3 months. It's slightly up from the summer.
1,100 a month?
Yeah,
Not a day.
yeah,
A month.
thank you.
Okay.
No, a month, yeah.
I was gonna say, that's quite a bit, that's quite
The next one's the
impressive.
day. The next one's the day, I'm reading too low on the page. For the month, for the daily rate, it's about 35 people hitting the website a day.
That's still pretty good for a small town like us.
Which again is slightly up from the summer. As far as the number of places they're going within the website, it's again slightly up from the summer, around 3,500 pages that people are viewing per month. Slightly up from the summer, but not really significant. And then the places they're going to is to see the Board of Selectmen, the assessor, the town clerk. Those are the most popular places for the last couple months. In earlier months, we had also had minutes, people going to view minutes, but that didn't pop up this time.
Wow,
And then we have the chance for people to subscribe to emails, you know, about what's going on in town. Hasn't changed. It's about 17 people viewing or getting push notices from the town website.
I think maybe next time,
Yes.
let's get the bottom three, because the bottom three to me indicate there's not a lot of information there to draw people to those sites.
I'm not sure that the data I have goes to the bottom 3. I think it lists about 10.
Okay, then well, that's a default. If we don't see it in the top 10, let's assume they're in the bottom, because if they're not going there, there's nothing drawing them there. You know, we can talk to those
well,
people.
but that could also be just things people aren't, you know, if you're not on the Heritage Commission or you're not on the Conservation Commission, we probably wouldn't get many hits.
yeah,
That doesn't
assessing,
mean we're not.
assessing town clerk and board selectmen, I would
Yeah,
draw the conclusion that those would be the places most people are going, because those are the active, you know, assessing is my taxes and issues like that. The Board of Selectmen is the governing board for the town. The only other one I thought I would see on there more of is the planning board.
Planning board documents,
Yeah,
subdivision documents, zoning ordinances.
but
And
we haven't
these are
had
the
any
out of
building
town.
in this town, I mean, our building's been very slow and almost, you know, on the downturn, so that's, you know, that could explain why that's not up.
Real
So-
estate people will be looking at those.
Yeah.
And Avatar is offering a program to put all the tax collect stuff on, if we want to subscribe to it.
Yeah, and that's gonna cost us how much?
and does it cover legal fees?
Avatar's got a lot of wonderful products that they either wanna charge the resident to do, or they wanna charge the town for.
Yeah,
We already pay them to gather the information. It should go on our website for free,
It doesn't,
but it doesn't. There's a charge one way or the other.
yeah, I think it's, I didn't go to the convention this year, so I was not at the users meeting, obviously. I think Angie said they were about $125 a year.
You
Yeah.
can also pay,
You can,
bill and pay online, it looks like.
but that's an added,
Yes,
that's
yes,
added to
in
that.
addition to
That's
that.
in addition to that, and I don't really wanna get into that. But
Yeah,
as
there
far
are
as.
Our towns that are starting.
But
Yeah, and
if that's the case, you have to also be set up with a credit card company.
And that costs you extra money.
Yeah,
And
no, I'm
there's-
not talking about that at all.
Well, I was gonna say, when you start taking billing online, you're now paying for credit card fees and uses, which a lot of them are like 3% and 35 cents per transaction. And some of and if you look at tax bills, that's a pretty good chunk of change you're sending off out of the town's money to do that. So,
No, that isn't something that would be an option. I don't think, not. In the
What
near
I
future
hear-
with Brookfield, we're so small that even the
Right.
credit card companies don't even wanna deal with us. We aren't big enough to want.
there's always that PayPal option.
What's that?
eBay's credit card, eBay's billing, sorry, where you can pay through
Whatever,
eBay.
I don't buy anything on
Well,
online, so I don't know anything about it.
I was being facetious.
Okay, good.
So, okay.
I'm just throwing it out, I'm not saying it doesn't matter one way or another to me.
I don't wanna spend unnecessary monies for the town that I don't have to. And for services that we, as a small town, really don't need
Well,
at
I
this
think the
point.
larger municipalities, like even Wakefield, I mean, Rose and I both really have an eye opener in helping Angie as much as we have, I mean.
Glad you work for for Brookfield?
Yeah.
Oh, extremely.
Yeah.
But, the amount of phone calls that comes through her place on the run of a day, really, she can't do the things that she has to do during the time it's open because she's just constantly interrupted. Of course, she has problems too because she's that front office over there, so everybody thinks that she's also the
Receptionist.
receptionist, and
yes.
she just passes people
Yeah.
along. She gets everything thrown, plus she has good candy, they say. But, they say, I'm not eating it.
Okay, anything else on the website?
Nope.
Any questions for the website?
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you. We're gonna move on to the mail. That's a what?
A bill. Land for the voting booths were broken, so I can't.
So this would be an expense report thing?
I normally don't send a bill and just pay it, but
When we get requests, the town gets requests for things to be put on the warrant, for donations to various community groups, how do we deal with that? Do we consolidate?
We do that during the budget
We
process.
Consolidate them and look at them?
Yeah, and then we choose what we're going to and what we're not going to give out as a,
I'll check these dates.
okay, as a
Do some?
thing. We've actually eliminated a lot of the
There
handouts.
could be one that triggered me.
What's this, the emergency management?
No, there's one in here that's triggered say.
This is
Okay.
to Bill.
Yeah, that's to Bill Nelson. Reimbursement for the new light. This is for Federal Emergency Management Agency in regards to our floodplain and flood hazard determination, which has been passed on to the planning board since they deal with this. We just need to file. Already, they have it
their own?
already.
Okay.
So, and it's being discussed by them.
Yeah.
If I'm not there.
This is our budget. Tax collector duties, this is old stuff here.
You might have refiled.
Yeah, and then I can
Okay.
register for it.
Education tax warrant for the year of 2013. Yeehaw. Department of Revenue Administration has calculated the portion of the 2013 education tax to be raised by each municipality in 2013. Let's see. get through all the garbage.
So this is going,
In accordance with the provision of the RSA 76-8, you are hereby directed to assess the 2013 education tax
Just
sum.
because you can.
I'm listening.
I mean, it's getting noisy in here. So I'm using the amount set forth on the attached chart, which is hereby incorporated as part of this warrant, and pay it to your municipality for the use of school district or districts for the fiscal year 2013-14. Per RSA 76:3, the amount is based on a uniform rate of $2.43.50 per thousand of the 2000 equalization without utilities. And the town of Brookfield will be, I know we're on here. A total of $250,236
Do they have last year's in there?
for the year. No, it's based on our property values. So $2.43.50 per thousand is the new tax rate for education from the state. Yeah, these are all just other towns and what they're paying, and how much their portion is going to be.
Let me,
I might have this
yeah, what
on
is,
my wall. You give me a check, right? Is that how it works? And then I'll. Yeah, but shouldn't it send,
I need you to
it
sign.
go
This
with
is,
my registration?
yes? That's
our
what I was
posting
asking.
that we have to post to
I don't
tell
have it
everybody
yet,
about the
no.
elections. The 3 selectmen need to sign there
I
and
printed, I
here,
was waiting for the LGC.
both pages.
You know, they come with the booklet, and it's in the booklet, and it hasn't come yet. So I went online, I looked at all the events and everything.
Jessica,
And
you're blocking my camera time.
they give you the option.
Oh, look, she got me that little razor thing.
Register now. So I was waiting for the booklet to come.
But the next meeting isn't until,
Oh, look, it's a bill for Ossipee Aggregate Corporation.
Yes, I guess.
This is just Mitchell Bates filing for the town of Brookfield in regards to the Northern New England Telephone Operation LLC versus town of Brookfield and the rest of the towns in New Hampshire.
Did you find out the rate?
it went down 3 cents. About.
We'll take it.
Yeah, that's what I said.
3 cents is 3
That's what I
cents.
said.
Why are
So the state tax rate for education went down 3 cents from last year. Tri-County Action Program Incorporated.
That's the one I want to talk about.
Okay, Tri-County Community Action, Carroll County is requesting $4,000 in funding from the town of Brookfield at your 2013 meeting. To help support its community contact programs, Community Contact is the field service arm of the Tri-County CAP. Our purpose is to assist low-income and elderly and disabled persons to solve
You got too many
problems.
side.
I know, it's getting very noisy in here. To meet their physical and financial needs. We accomplish this by providing information, counseling, referrals, budget counsel, guidance, organizational assistance, and effective linking households with CAP assistant programs and using community resources. Good night! Below is down the breakdown for the assistance the Carroll County Community Contact Office provided to the 50 residents of Brookfield who were served over last year from July 1st, 2011 to June 30th, 2012. Fuel assistant, 18 households at $13,905. Electrical assistance, 15 households at $9,576. Weatherization, $4,113 for a total of $27,639 that was provided to the town of Brookfield residents. So they're asking for another $4,000, which is something that they ask for every year.
Do we give it to them?
Yes.
No, we can put it on the warrant and then take, wait with that.
You can, but normally we, as the select board, put it in the budget under our,
There's 50 additional families that they're helping.
yes.
Now, is it the same family?
We don't know that.
Right, 50
Could they-
different families or 50 families, that, you know, if it gets helped 3 times, it counts as 3.
Who is this?
Tri-County CAP. It's 50 different families that they've helped within the town of Brookfield.
That's what I said. That's exactly what I said in the past year.
Well, eating.
Heating oil is a
That's
big
the
one.
thing.
If you make under a certain dollar amount, as a family of 4, this will go into our budget file. We will go into more discussion about that request
So put that in there too.
during the budgeting process.
All right.
But
I was surprised at the number of 50 additional.
a family of 4, if you make under a certain dollar value for a family of 4, you qualify for some type of heating assistance because that's considered a low-income family.
Does it say families or number of residents?
This
Number
is
of residents.
that they helped 18 households for fuel
So it could be
assistance.
multiples.
And then 15 electrical,
15 electrical, 1 weatherization.
right, which gives them their total.
So.
But that doesn't
so
go into
they're
their
counting How many
counseling.
people are in the household?
There's more than that. If you read the top, it's more than just the fuel, electric, and the weatherization. They're also talking about giving assistance for counseling and other stuff that's in there.
Mhm. Guidance and organizational assistance.
And one home was winterized.
Right.
Mhm.
I was just shocked at the number. It's not the 4,000 they're asking for, but 50 additional houses.
I'm surprised we do as many visits as we did. We did over almost 200 visits to single people here in Brookfield last year for VNA.
Really?
Yeah, so it's.
Single visit, so one person could be visited weekly, and that would count as
But on
52?
No, because you're only allowed to be on for a minimum of service. One person could be counting more than once, but for us typically, visits are only, definitely under 10. Definitely would be like typically 5 visits for a person. So, unless it's.
This is what? Or, yeah.
Okay. So any more conversation on that one? And are you gonna wait, you wanna wait until the budget?
Wait till later, and I'll talk to Marilou about
Okay.
her involvement. I didn't know you were that involved in this.
And VNA, yes. VNA is my employer over there.
Oh.
Yeah,
Maybe I don't want to talk to you about it, keep you out of it.
But normally we discuss
All of them.
all of the options that we have and all the requests for donations during the budget process, and that's where I would like to keep it.
Yeah, it's worked out very well.
Yes. This is a letter from Martha Pike Chair dated, this is what I found on the Park and Rec Fund deposit made at the end of 2009.
Oh, that's the copy I gave you.
Right, okay. So there was questions about how the funds were put into the Park and Rec Trust Fund, and apparently donations and town money were intermingled, but that has been fixed.
Yes.
So,
At
and
the
then,
end of 2009.
right,
And that was a memo that Martha Pike wrote to Dan O'Neill, my predecessor, on what happened and how to fix it. So
Right,
I
and
know
Tom-
that we did fix it at the end of 2009, and Tom Gear had asked for any notes I had on it.
okay.
And I figured it might come up at the meeting with TRAC being here, so good for you to have it.
Okay, but on the town report, when the trustees of the trust fund send us the monies, they've had it combined all this time.
They have.
Yes. So now what he's gonna have to do is separate that and give us a line item for each of those, one for the donation funds and one for the town funds, for the Park and Rec Committee, or Park and Rec funds.
You want me to write in that?
I think he already knows. I saw the email from him. We have a UMass Chief Municipal Executive. Ooh.
Sounds like that should go to Jessica.
Thanks.
Another conference. It's all right, you can rip it open now.
Diane's gone? Might be quicker, huh? This is Green School UMass. It's just talking about landscape management, turf management, and Arboriculture. Okay. United States Department of Agriculture. To whom it may concern, Agricultural Foreign Investment Disclosure Act of 1978 became effective on February 2nd, 1979. It requires any foreign person who acquires or transfers any interest other than security interest in agricultural land to submit a completed FSA-153 to the Secretary of Agriculture not later than 90 calendar days after the date of acquisition or transfer. Held an interest other than security interest in agricultural land on February 1st, 1979, to have submitted a report to the Secretary not later than August 1st, 1979.
So a little bit late getting that out.
And there's a form here to go with it. Okay, so the information required by the Secretary should be reported on the enclosed FSA 153. Additional copies of this form, which you are encouraged to give to clients who are foreign persons owning, acquiring, or transferring agricultural land in the United States or its territory or possessions, may be obtained from this office. Return the completed FSA 153 to this office at the address listed above.
I think it's a good idea that they have that. I can remember when they put that into place, because you had a lot of foreign people buying up
Hawaii.
agriculture, and they own half of,
They were buying Hawaii.
so at least you know that they bought up.
So this is all about foreign persons. Do you guys want me to read the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so this says that here's the form, if anybody comes in and wants to buy land that's agricultural as a foreigner, they have to
That's what I thought they were.
Fill this out.
If you sense you're a foreigner, don't ask.
Probably need an
You can't
interpreter
ask.
to charge us for that.
Enclosed are the copies of the New Hampshire Local Government Center's most recently released publications, 2012 Municipal Law Lecture Series, The Basic Law of Budgeting, A Guide for Towns, Village Districts, and School Districts editions. So we got our new books for 2012,
I didn't go to the budget.
and
Could I take the budget one?
as long as you read it and get it back so all the rest of us can have it
You want me to
to read. So what we normally do is hand out, everybody takes a book, they read it, and then they swap them.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, jeez.
you wanna pick one?
Look what I got. Oh, yeah, I got this one.
They're all land use controls. These three are all land use.
All right, I'll take this
Lecture
one.
1, 2, and 3. Well, actually, you probably should take 1, 2, and 3 and start with 1 and then put 1 in the next box so we can start it.
Okay.
And then just remember where they're at. Good evening. Oh, I guess I should have covered this in the emergency management thing, or forest fire warden deputy reappointment forms. Brad sends a note. Good evening, gentlemen. Please sign the back of the purple paper and return to me for forwarding to, Bob Boyd, Forest Ranger. And this is for reappointment of all of the deputies and the warden, which is William Bradford as warden, deputy warden Jack Baker, deputy warden Helen Baker, deputy warden Michael Moore, deputy warden Sam Morrell, deputy warden Todd Nason, deputy warden Janet Williamson, and deputy warden Richard Zacher. And there are 3 no's on here, which would mean we were removing Jack and Helen Baker and Michael Moore from these lists, so they would no longer be reappointed. So we're going to reappoint Brad Williamson, Sam Morrell, Todd Nason, Janet Williamson, and Richard Zacher.
Excuse me, I got a question. Is that Zacher person reliable, or
I
what he's
don't
doing?
know.
or-
He'll be there.
He'll be there, that's
You
what.
need a permit?
Waiting for the snow to come.
I'm waiting.
I have one. So, Forest Fire Department. So we don't need to do anything with this form. This is theirs. So the only thing that we have to do is sign the back of this purple form.
So who'd you say there's Brad, Richard, Sam, and
Todd.
Todd?
Yeah, so it would be Todd Nason,
Yes.
Janet Williamson, Rich Zacher, Sam Morrell, and Brad Williamson. We don't have a director. Oh, look, another thing from FEMA. Must be FEMA's night.
Something from the Census Bureau, they should be going there.
This is the same one we just got and read over there.
Goes to Brad.
Yeah, I'll put it back in Brad, or you can put it back in Brad's box. So this is all about the flood insurance thing, and this has been passed on to the planning board, and they are addressing it.
So whose copy is this? Oh.
This is for CASA. On behalf of the court-appointed special advocates, CASA of New Hampshire, I am respectfully requesting inclusion into the 2000 Brookfield's town budget, 2013 town budget. So they are requesting monies to be put on the budget, so that goes to, for budget meeting. We got any civil engineers in here? Well, then this is for you. This is the New Hampshire civil engineer little flyer that they send out.
Ed, do you know what they're doing down on 109? They were,
Repair the bottom of the culvert.
the bottom.
It goes filing from the above captioned matter of town of Brookfield's assentment to the motion to extend time to file answer. So this is just information on the lawsuit, and they're filing for an extended, they're filing to the court to extend the time for the town to file an answer. States as follows. And the court's response, I guess. They want to extend the time to file an answer in this case until December 6, 2012, and grant such other and further relief as the court deems just and necessary. So they're going to drag it out and get their money's worth. And that is all the mail that's worth reading.
This was for, these to be getting out.
I think those are old ones,
Was it
last
the
meetings.
last meeting? This one's, oh, I gave one to you because, were you at the last meeting?
Yeah,
I'd like to put your name on it.
I don't know.
There's,
Didn't we already take care of this?
Yeah.
So that needs to be filed in that file,
What file?
that file.
The
The
usual.
one where we had the fair handling,
Revolving one.
The what?
the
Welfare hearing.
welfare hearing file. Can't say the name.
That's right.
oh, this is April.
That's an old one, that just needs to be shredded.
No, where that came from.
This is June's. These are old ones. Did you grab all this out of my box?
Yeah.
That would explain why you were sitting in my box. Okay, that explains everything. These are May meetings, okay. Explains a lot. Any other business to be brought before this board? Hearing none, this board is adjourned. Thank you. Now I go home and get some lunch and breakfast and dinner.